How's everybody today? I'm trying to keep warm, I'm sure.
Trying to.
Oh yeah. I agree with you. Well, welcome to our training. I'm gonna go ahead and get everything kicked off here. So this is our second session this week for leadership training, which is going to be presented by Eric Lashley. So I'd like to thank the Texas State Library Archives Commission for providing funding for allowing us to do this training. And with that being said, we'll kick it off to Eric.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, guys. We'll have some more that will join in. So today I've taken, the topic was supposed to be, and we'll talk about is mission and values. And I'm going to start off on a kind of a tangent, and then it's going to, hope to gosh, it'll wrap up at the end. It'll all wrap up. And I wanted to talk about renaming my discussion today about the power of three. I don't know if y'all have heard about this. It's a really interesting technique. And when we get towards mission statements that I have examples of, you will see the power of three. So I just wanted to talk about that. If you're not familiar with this, it's the power of three words, which refers to the idea of using a group of three words together can be more powerful and impactful and memorable than using just one or two. Often employed as a persuasive technique in writing and speech making, where the repetitive and rhythm created by the trio enhances the message's impact. And it's sometimes called the rule of three. Okay, I see the bees logging out. So anyway, think about this. This goes back to ancient times. We always talk about three guys walk into a bar, three blind mice. Santa, he says, ho, ho, ho. He doesn't say ho or ho, ho. He says ho, ho, ho. We have the three bears. We have the three musketeers, the three wise men, and they bring frankincense, gold, and myrrh. We have the three Billy Goats Gruff, the three amigos, the three stooges. In baseball, it's three strikes and you're out. And when we sing, we root for the home team. And the three little pigs, they said, wee, three times, wee. And they also said, not by the hair of my chinny chin. And what did the big bad wolf? He huffed, puffed, blow their house in. So again, the rule of three is really great. Our Declaration of Independence, what do we ask for? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Tic-tac-toe, red, white, and blue. We hang out with Tom, Dick, and Harry. 1, 2, 3, ABC. We say ready, set, go. The three little bears. It was too hot, too cold, just right. We say do, re, mi. Friends, Romans, countrymen. We ask for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Our organizations, we have ALA, TLA, PLA. We watch the NFL. We just watched the NBA, All-Star game. NHL, MLB, MLS is the Major League Soccer. Nike's saying, just do it. So the brain science is that three is a simple pattern. It's a pattern that brains really latch onto. So the power of three is really good. And when you're looking at as a rhetorical device, something for people to remember, three is a way for people to remember. So this will see at the end of my presentation, we're talking about mission statements. You will see that so many of them are three things. They're really focusing, their mission is three different things. All right, so let's talk about vision, mission, and values. It's interesting that it's very common for organizations, especially libraries, to have mission statements. It's not as common for libraries often to have vision statements. And I will argue that vision statements are very important. And if you don't have a vision statement, think about it. So a vision statement is where you want to be. It's where your library, you're not there, but it's very aspirational. Where do you want to be? And I ask this a lot because if you can't tell me where you want to be, and I used to ask this question a lot when I was with Plan. I go to the library and I say, well, where do you want to be in 5 years? And a lot of times I get a blank stare. And as we talk about leadership is about change management. It's about setting that vision and getting people to follow you. So if you can't tell me where you want to be in 5 years, you're lacking vision in some ways. So think about that. Vision is very aspirational. You may never get there. But if you don't have high goals or a high aspiration, then you're kind of just like, you're just kind of going along and maybe making incremental changes. A mission statement talks about how you'll get where you want to be. It's why we do what we do, which is a good thing. I mean, that's very common. And they're often linked to a strategic plan. And the strategic plan, then you have the objectives and the goals on how to get to, a 3-year plan or 5-year plan or whatever. But a good leader doesn't set a mission statement or a vision statement or a strategic plan just to check off boxes. A really good leader uses this as a big tool in their toolbox, and they use them in a way to help shape the culture of the organization. They really help inform your staff, your employees, your volunteers, your board members, on the public, on how to, what is the value of the library. Again, leadership is about change management, always about change and how you're managing that change going forward. So you have to give people a vision so they'll follow you. Values. Again, we talk about values and why is it important to actually state your values? I think it's important to actually write out values and say, we're a values-based organization and here are our main values. I think organizations or libraries should state their values because they act as guiding principles for shaping the organizational culture. It's a way to attract employees. If you put that out there, they know what you stand for and what values you're standing for. They're a way to enhance the interactions between your patrons and clearly defining what your organization stands for and how it operates, and ultimately leading to increased, employee engagement, loyalty, and a positive brand image. We don't talk a lot about brand image, but the fact is libraries do have an image. And what your library's image is tells a lot about you a lot of times. Leaders are neither good or bad in the strictest sense. Leaders just have people who follow them. We've had evil leaders in this world. Hitler's a good example of that. But he had people who followed them. So again, it's not a good or bad, and you can have good values, bad values. But I think it's really important to put your values out there. And I'll give some examples of values that libraries have put out there. When I interviewed prospective employees, I think this is important too. I often would read aloud or I'd give them a copy of our vision statement, mission statement, our values. And then I would have questions that talked about that. So you would know that you would have a question about intellectual freedom possibly, or censorship. And so you really want to know where these people stand, because let's face it, a lot of times many people who are actually applying for a library job, they have this image of libraries as a nice place to read books. And they have this very idealistic image of libraries, that it's, non-confrontational, that, public is always perfectly well behaved. And so you want to know, when you're interviewing people, what are their real understanding of censorship or other things that all are welcome. You want to find these things out if they don't align with your mission or your vision or your values. So again, you wouldn't want to hire a potential employee that is in favor of censorship or doesn't, again, believe that libraries for all people. Now, I just wanted to talk a little bit about often, who actually approves these vision statements, mission statements, or your strategic plans. And oftentimes it's the library board. Sometimes it's city council or governing. It really doesn't matter who approves it. The fact is, it's an opportunity for leadership, for the library director or staff to help influence these things. Because let's face it, there's the average resident doesn't often know about modern librarianship. They just, again, have that possibly that idealistic view of libraries, or a very what we call book-centric view of libraries. And this is an opportunity to really educate them on what are the values of the library, what are the mission, where we're going, what's the vision. And I'll use an example that we had recently. So I had a staff development day, and I was doing a presentation about what I called, the 10 characteristics of a world-class library. So it was, again, very idealistic, very aspirational. And during that presentation, I had a couple of videos, and they were very emotional about how normal patrons were impacted by their public library. And it was very emotional. And at the end of the presentation, my staff said, are you trying to make us cry? And the answer was yes, I was trying to make them cry. And I said, here's the deal. When you're doing a presentation like that, you want to touch the heart and you want to touch the head. Now, what do I mean by touching the head? So right before my presentation, we had put up these numbers of what we had done this year. We checked out this many books. We had this many story times. And that was really good. And the staff appreciated it. It shows all our accomplishments. But what was didn't tell the story, right? And so when I told the story and showed the videos of how a library could impact someone's life, that was what made people really care about the library. That's what told the story of the library. And I even told the story, it was, again, staff development, and I'm new to this library. And so it was a great opportunity for them to ask me questions. And I allowed them to ask me questions anonymously using a Mentimeter. And I had a question about, again, part-time staff. And part of it was there was a feeling that the last library director didn't respect part-time staff. And there was this division between full-time staff and part-time staff, which is common in libraries sometimes. And I told a story about how part-time staff can be just as much leaders or respected than full-time staff. And I gave the story that if you're in the Georgetown Public Library, you will see 2 stained glass windows that are dedicated to 2 part-time staff members who passed away while they worked in our library. And one of them, Ralph Love, and if you go to the Texas History Room in Georgetown, you'll see Ralph's stained glass window. And I remember Ralph he had cancer and he was passing away, and they called me in and said, hey, we want you to, say goodbye to Ralph. He's going to pass today. And I went in and said goodbye to Ralph, but I noticed that Ralph was wearing his library t-shirt on his deathbed. Now, again, that shows you his dedication to the library, that he was willing to wear that t-shirt. That's how loyal he was. And I wanted, again, to tell these stories, like, this is where we need to tell stories about our value to the community and how we can, do great things. But the numbers don't tell that story often. Again, when I worked for Plan, I would often go to the libraries and, again, say, where do you want to be in 5 years? And again, I get some kind of these blank stares, or people felt really stuck. And if you can't tell me where you're going in 5 years, we've got a problem in terms of vision. So again, how do you get this vision? How do you start thinking aspirationally about the library? How do you start dreaming big? You're so busy. You all are so busy, especially the small libraries. You're so busy. How do you, take time to make this happen? But again, I'm going to tell you, though, vision is so important. So I'm here at Burbank, and we're already launching a new library project. But I'm been shocked. I'm meeting with the other department heads, and their lack of knowledge of the vision of the library is shocking to me. So again, I've been meeting one-on-one with the city attorney and the planning department, all this, and I'm telling them what the vision for the library is, and they're just like blown away. This is awesome. How come we never heard this? And I'm like, I don't know. How come you've never heard this? So again, we can't take it for granted. We have to put that out there. That's why I think the vision statement, or even just getting your staff or your board or your volunteers to understand this is where we're moving. We're not stuck here. Often, so many libraries, especially in Texas, are small. They need more space. They need remodeling. But there's nothing indicating that often in their strategic plan. When I look at the strategic plan, it's very basic. It doesn't really help them move. And what I see then is you have, it's just a talk, but there's no action. There's no real plan to move forward, even if it's to take a little step forward. I mean, a lot of times you just don't have the resources to build a new library. That's a once in 30-year perspective, a lot of times, if not longer. So again, remember the rule of three that I talk about, and I'm going to start giving examples of vision statements and mission statements the library have, and remember the rule of three. So here in Burbank, my current library, which I had nothing to do with the vision or mission statement, but I did notice, so the mission of the Burbank Library is to connect the community to opportunities for growth, inspiration, and discovery. So there's the rule of three: growth, inspiration, and discovery is the takeaway. They actually have their list of values, which I like. It's community connection. The library connects community members to resources and services. Safety and welcome. The library aims to be a safe and welcoming place for all. Respect. The library encourages its users to respect one another, staff, and library property. Community support. The library supports vulnerable community members, including people experiencing homelessness, mental illness, and are new to the United States. Economic development. The library supports economic development for individuals and communities. And their last value is lifelong learning. The library supports lifelong learning and helps people enjoy social and economic benefits of learning. I think that's great. However, we do not have a vision statement in Burbank. So I think, again, that's something that was lacking, because when I'm meeting with the executive directors who worked with the library director all the time, they didn't know what the vision of the library was. And it's very simple. So Georgetown, the library I was at in Texas, they had a vision statement, and theirs is: the Georgetown Public Library will be a catalyst for an enriched community. That's their vision, is to be a catalyst for an enriched community. Their mission is, again, three: the Georgetown Library engages, enlightens, and empowers. The 3 E's, we called it the 3 E's. Engages, enlightens, and empowers the community. The values, the library had values that were tied with the city's values, and the core values were trust, professionalism, teamwork, communication, and work-life balance. And just to let you know, during our staff development day in Burbank, we are redoing our values, and there's a feeling from the staff, and this is coming staff up, about the values. There wasn't enough about work-life balance. In the Burbank, there was nothing about work-life balance. And so the staff wanted to put that in, and I think that's perfectly fine. So other libraries across the country that have either mission statements or vision statements, the New York Public Library, which is one of the most important public institutions in America, their mission of the New York Public Library is to inspire lifelong learning, advance knowledge, and strengthen our communities. So again, the three: lifelong learning, advance knowledge, and strengthen our communities. The Los Angeles Public Library has a vision. The vision is to provide free access to information, ideas, and technology for all communities. And again, their mission, the rule of three, is to educate, empower, and enrich. Educate, empower, enrich the lives of people in the city's diverse communities. Mission of the San Diego Public Library, to inspire lifelong learning through connections to knowledge and each other. And Austin Public Library in Texas, they actually have both a vision statement and a mission statement. Their vision statement is the Austin Public Library will be a model of equity, inclusion, access, and diversity. And their mission has the three, inspiring all to discover, learn, and create. Salt Lake City Public Library, the mission is to promote access to information and services that encourage creativity, community, and lifelong learning. So it's the rule of three keeps popping up. It's a good way, again, for the community to learn your mission. It's a good way for your staff that it can actually repeat your mission, which I think is very important, so they know what our mission is and why we do what we do. All right, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit, but so when and how do you create a vision statement or a mission statement or spell out your values? Again, you guys are so busy. How do we do this? When do you find time to do this? Well, here's the fact. This is part of leadership too. You've got to find time to do the important things. And this is an important thing. You know, Stephen Covey calls it, you got to find time to sharpen the saw. I say you got to find time to stop and get gas. You got to, take care of the car, or else your car breaks down or you run out of gas and you're going nowhere. So you do have to take time and invest time to be aspirational and really think about where you're going and how to do that. The best way, I think, is, again, a staff development day or a retreat where you bring in your supporters, your friends group, your board, and you start talking about where do we want to go. And you can do it in 5-year increments or 10-year, something aspirational. What do we want for this library, this community moving forward? How do we get those people doing it? Now, here's the catch on that. A lot of times is your friends group or your board, they have no idea what modern libraries or other libraries may be doing out in the community. They have this, again, image of what the library could be, and they don't know. So one of the best tools I have is, again, doing those types of PowerPoints where you're telling a story about a library and how a library can really impact a community in the best way. And so if you don't know, just go and Google. You can look at the Library Journal's the Small Library of the Year award, and they always have runners up, and they're just awesome. These are small libraries in America. They're doing great things. The Association of Rural and Small Libraries award winners. Again, research those libraries. These are really, a lot of times, really small libraries that are just doing so many wonderful things because, again, their goal or their mission is to really serve the community. And it's not always that literacy-based program. And it may be Meals on Wheels. It may be doing dance classes because there's no dance studio in your town. It really is, again, listening to the community and figuring out what the heck they want. So a lot of times you've got to, the part of the leadership is getting people to see a vision, to be aspirational, and then taking those steps to follow and make those things happen. And again, in so many cases, your friends and foundation members or board members just don't know how to do that. So one of the other issues I think often happens if the strategic plan or the mission or the vision is somehow approved or drafted by the board, and there's attention's not the right word, but there's not much excitement on the board. This is one, again, where it's leadership. And this is one of the hardest. We'll talk about boards in the future. I hate that libraries often wait what we call change by funeral. They're hoping that a board member they'll just pass away, and then we can do all the stuff we need to do. If that sweet Mary just passes away in her sleep, oh, God bless her. Oh, things would be just great. Well, guess what? That Mary, she'll hang in there like, and you're waiting and years go by. Yeah, I see the laughing out there, but it's so true. And so one of the things, and we'll talk about boards and commissions or boards in the future, it's really important to have turnover, bylaws that have, term limits. You need fresh blood. And again, you really need to, this is the toughest part of leadership, is when you have that kind of confrontation with that sweet little old lady. I can see everybody smiling and shaking. This is one of the biggest challenges, I think, to be honest with you, in that I saw in a lot of Texas libraries, is just that board not getting, they have this image of what a library is that's so outdated. How do you inspire them to understand that it really doesn't matter how small you are, you can still do more in terms of impact if you change, again, the vision or the direction of where we're going to go. And I know that is really tough because these people have power within the community, but you need to somehow, as a leader, persuade them to move in a new direction, or else you're just waiting change by funeral. And that's just a terrible thing to say, but it's true. And it just happens so often. And it's amazing too, sometimes, how much you can change when changed by funeral. And you think, wow, one obstacle is now overcome. But either way, you still need to be ready. You still need to know what your vision is for the future. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. I want to hear from folks out there. I want to know if your mission, if you have a mission and you take it seriously, did you accidentally follow the rule of 3? Are you thinking about redoing your mission? It's not common to have a vision statement. So if you have a vision statement, I'd like to know. And I think that's great. And I would, again, encourage you guys to do it. And the other thing is, this all ties into all these things: vision, mission, values turn into a strategic plan. And I really would encourage you guys not to just to check a box, just because the state library says you need a strategic plan or whatever. Don't put it on the shelf and let it collect dust. It really should be a guiding principle to help you with budgeting, all these other things. So again, part of leadership is doing these things. It's part also of management to put this out there and then to follow it. So at this point, I want to know, one, if y'all know any other 3 little things like ho, 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 or tic, tac, toe, or any of things like that, that again, sparked your thing, bring it up, but also just open it up to what are your thoughts on mission, vision, whether your library even has a vision, and how important that is. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to anybody that wants to chime in at this point.
I'll chime in.
Thank you, B. You're always so good.
I think it's very important. I know for me, when I am putting together a report of some sort, or whether it's to the board, to city management, I try to put in the vision of of my library. It's not the rule. It's not the 3. It's the 4. We have a 4. And,
it's okay.
But I'm looking in the future. It's one of the plans that I have is to review and start looking into a new strategic planning, because it's time. But I always try to, and we have, similar, the library will engage, enlighten, empower, and inform lifelong learners. And so I just want to, make sure that those are included in there, so that I can emphasize what it is that we're looking to do, as we mentioned before, what our vision is. And so I always try to incorporate that into whatever I am putting forth out there, and, provide some examples sometimes of what that means, because sometimes we tend to put things that we think people know, library genre and what we know it is and what we think others may think it is. It's two different things. So we sometimes have to bring it down to the common level and explain to people what that means. So I always try to incorporate that into my day-to-day sort of way of informing the public or those that possibly future funders of what that looks like and how it makes a difference in the communities that we're serving. So
Yeah, so they do a monthly, I've only been here 2 months, but we do a monthly report to our city manager and to our council. And I have been impressed with the way they don't focus like on, we checked out this many books, because they don't know. I mean, they just don't know. One thing I really was impressed with the last one was we have a Job Connect program where we bring in 30 students who are unemployed and we try to help them with their skills. And so we just had a graduation in December, and the gentleman who runs the program for us highlighted the number of people who got employed. And, that was a part of the storytelling to the city manager and to the council. And that, to me, again, that's life-changing, that people now have a job and they're feeding their families. And again, that's part of where we need to sometimes pat ourselves on the back that we're doing great work. And we're so humble so many times. So many librarians are so darn humble. But this is what, again, we need support through a budget increase next year to help continue this program. But if the council doesn't know that we're successful and we're actually getting people employment, then it's, crapshoot. So again,
I put success stories in my board reports all the time, because as we mentioned, we need to pat ourselves. They don't know, so why not tell them what we're doing? So yeah.
So B, how often do y'all actually look at your vision, mission, strategic plan? Do y'all do it like every 3 years, 5 years, or what's your rotation?
Well, when I came, I've been here almost 5 years. 5 years, yay!
Yay! Congratulations.
And thank you. And so when I came, of course, it was COVID. So we kind of went back and reviewed it and made some updates a little bit to take us a little bit past that threshold. Now it's time to start looking at another 3-year plan. So I'm going to be speaking with staff momentarily in the near future to talk about ways in which we can start planning and looking at proposals for that. So it's definitely time. And I think, as you mentioned, every 3 years, every 5 years, we need to be starting to look at our strategic planning and looking to see, where we've been, where we're at, and where we want to go. Because it's important not to stay pretty much in the same place the entire time. Libraries change. We're changing. We're moving forward with the world. And for us to succeed and for people to take us seriously, we want to make sure that they know that we're not just a brick and mortar. We're more than that. And, we're changing lives. We're making a difference in people's situations. We're the only place that people can go to, regardless of economic status or, socioeconomic or whatnot, that you can go to and be able to use our resources for free. So it's really important that we look at the future of libraries and imagine where we can be and what we can do with what we have. And, so it's one of those things that we're going to be starting to talk about that soon.
Do you have your board approve it and then it goes to council, or is it just strictly an internal document?
Well, it's always, our board is a library advisory board. So they don't really make those types of decisions. Ultimately, our city council are the ones that make those types of decisions. But it's a courtesy to always go to your board so that they can also be part of the process. So they can be able to, you can look at them and say, okay, they approved this and now it's going to council to further approve it. So it makes them feel like they can be part of, because if you don't have the support of the board or the friends or any of your other organizational folks, then it's not, it's who are going to be your advocates, your
Right.
cheerleaders, right? So you need the support of the board. So whether or not I feel that they ultimately will make the decision, I always want to go to the board to, speak with them, to have their input, also for them to be part of the process as well as the friends of the library.
So when you, thank you for answering my question. So when you start this process, do you do it with a staff development day or just have a committee, or what's your mechanism for making these changes and
Well,
evaluating?
what I want to do is have a community input as well. It's not just for
Awesome.
staff. It's not just going to be board. It's going to be members of the community as well, because we want their viewpoint on, what does the library mean to them? What is the library 10 years from now looks like to them? So that it could be so they also can, when it's time to go to the polls,
Right.
for, to vote to get a little bit of money coming to the library for these constructions, and that they can support and get people who they also know can support the library. So I want to make it very inclusive for us to be able to do this. So
That's awesome. I think community engagement is so important for these types of things, to get community buy-in, but also to educate the community on what
exactly.
the vision is and how modern libraries have evolved over
Mhm.
time. I saw in the chat that Temple, they do use the 3. They got explore, create, and connect, which is awesome. And I see that Maud, Savannah, they have a vision. I love it. Maud has a vision, a sustainable community that uplifts and empowers all residents for success. And their mission is the Maud Public Library inspires our community to dream bigger in order to create a better quality of life for all. Those are awesome. And again, Maud is a very small library, but very important to their community in so many ways. So again, having that vision and that mission is awesome. Anybody else going through a strategic plan or looking at updating their mission, or anything else on topic y'all would like to bring up?
I just want to say, going back to what Bea was saying, it's really important to include everybody that you can, because you never know where your biggest advocates are going to come, and the voice can come out of just left field, and they just didn't realize that there was a vehicle for them to express or to advocate to a city council person or to anybody. You just never know where your
Oh, I think she cut out.
hit my mute button.
Okay, go ahead.
I was like, I didn't touch my mute. I was just saying, we just need to be inclusive, because it does bring out conversations that you had no idea, or thoughts, or, what you need is the buy-in from everyone, not just what we consider our stakeholders, right off the bat, but just to be aware of where things can come from. And yes, we'll be looking at our mission statement and value. We need to update. It's been a while, so that's why I'm doing this.
No, that's absolutely true. And again, community engagement and helping set vision, mission is so important. A perfect example here in Burbank and Glendale are the largest population of Armenians in America. So 40% of the population in Glendale, which is right next to Burbank, is Armenian, which you'd think, Armenian, and that's the Kardashians. So the Kardashians are from this area, and they're Armenian. And again, yet you will see that because of that immigrant population, they have not been traditionally using the library. I do have staff that are Armenian and speak Armenian. Even in our city council, it's posted in Armenian. Armenian is such a huge language here. But we have got to figure out a way to really do community engagement to let that community know they are welcome at this library. And, if we have to do Armenian storytelling, Armenian is a larger population and language in Spanish here in this town, which is, hard to believe, but it's true. It's that important. And so knowing your demographics and then figuring out how do you get staff, you hire staff that can speak Armenian and work and really go engage with the Armenian community and get them engaged, because they're just not using the library now because of whatever traditional reasons, or they don't feel welcome or whatever. I see that Amy has put in the Cleburne actually has a vision statement, which is awesome. It says the Cleburne Library will enrich the quality of life in the community by encouraging literacy and the love of reading, foster cultural and educational programs and partnerships, and allow patrons access to an optimal level of electronic resources. The library also provide quality services through positive community service in an inviting environment. That's awesome. Anything else that y'all want to bring up right now in terms of vision, values? Do many of y'all actually have a value statement? Is that something that you feel is needed in this time and age? I also see one here from Heather, our mission statement: the Flower Mound Public Library supports education in our community by providing access to information, creating young readers, fostering success in school, and facilitating lifelong learning. The library contributes to the quality of life in Flower Mound by stimulating imagination, celebrating diversity, and encouraging creativity in a space that meets the needs of the community. And that's awesome. Again, they're talking too about space. So it's also like, hey, we need to have the space to actually serve this community that meets their needs. Again, Dorothy, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do y'all put a value statement at all? Do your city have a...
No, it doesn't. But, I was looking, we have objectives that could be really more of a vision statement. I was looking at ours. And it is kind of written in a visionary aspiration. But we do need to work on our long range plan, and put all of these in there. And I like the idea of maybe putting something that touches the heart in my monthly report to the city council. More than just the numbers. I do try to add some of the quality things that the library does to meet the needs of the community, other than just giving out the stats. But I need to be a little bit better about touching the heart, because we do a lot of things that touch the heart and impact people's lives. We're, again, because we're so humble and we're not really taught to get on our soapbox and really pound our chest on what great jobs we're doing and how we do impact people's lives. We need to be better at doing that. So yeah, this is giving me a lot of food for thought.
Well, the one thing I think that was really impactful for the videos that I had shown they were actual patrons. They were patrons that were doing it for us. They were helping tell our story, which, if a staff does it, it seems self-serving in a lot of ways, but
it does.
But to actually have a staff talk about, a traumatic incident happened in their life and how the library helped them overcome. And I mean, it's a tearjerker, right? But it was a real deal. And that the people were so grateful that the library was there to help them during that time is just really important. I saw there's a couple more statements here. Again, Temple Public Library has a vision. The Temple Public Library strives to be a hub of exploration and creativity for the residents of Temple and the surrounding areas, connecting library visitors to information, materials, and services that educate, enrich, and inspire. That's awesome. Ector County, someone want to chime in?
I was going to say, we have some values, and we have our values posted at our branch location. So we have some values that talks about excellence, innovation, integrity, service, respect, and teamwork. And under each of those categories, there are some items, for instance, excellence, perform duties in a dependable and selfless manner. Example, innovation, um, reimagine the library experience. Integrity, be aware of the perceptions we would create. Service, listen and communicate with our community. Respect, treat everyone with dignity and compassion. Teamwork, lead by example. So those are, one of the things that we have. We have more, but those are ones that we have under those values that we've put up.
Well, those are excellent. And I love that you've written them down and have that, because it was interesting. In my last library, Paso Robles, I remember having a conversation with my boss about creating exceptional customer service. And they said, that's not our goal.
Oh my gosh.
And you think, really? And it's like, why isn't that our goal? And it had never been discussed. And I thought, wow, this is a really interesting organization that the goal of exceptional customer service, or even good at customer, it wasn't even, there was anything written down like, this is our goal. We're going to have exceptional customer service. And that was just so foreign to me. And again, there was a city that did not have a mission statement or a vision statement. The city didn't have any. And so again, it's like, where do we know where we're going? They were hiring a consultant to actually do it, but I was never in the city, been around for 150 years. Like, how do you have how do you not know where you're going as a city? How do you do economic development not knowing what your vision is for the city or the prosperity of the residents or whatever? All right, there's a couple more in the chat. Ector County Library, our mission, enable every county resident and visitor in our diverse growing community to reach their full potential by empowering them with information, discovery, knowledge, and lifelong learning. That is awesome. Our vision, transform into a one-stop shop community hub of free informational, educational, cultural, civic, and recreational resources. Strategic areas of focus, build, I love that in all caps, build a new innovative library and system of branches. Continue to represent and reflect the changing diverse needs of our community, of us. Create and implement value-added services and programs for patrons, provide first-class customer service in person and virtually. Again, Heather put, we just created Flower Mountain strategic plan for the next 3 years and identified 4 focus areas to support our mission statement. All of our goals fall under access, connection, community, and customer service. Our value statement is town-wide. In short, we are authentic, exceptional, dedicated, and family. And again, I love that. I think it's important to be exceptional. I love that it's family focused. Those are all wonderful examples. And again, it's things, again, I think are important to put out there, and people know where you stand and where you're going. And I love, again, they put in the, in all caps, implement a value added services and program to build a new innovative library. I mean, that says a lot. Just have the vision. We're going to build an innovative library. We're just not going to build a library. It's going to be innovative. That is, again, something that people can get behind. When I met with my city attorney yesterday, he was telling me, and this man loves libraries. This is hilarious. He loves libraries, but he had really never spent much time in our public library. And he said from the last director, all he could see was a white box with the word library. There was no vision, and he couldn't get into it. And just having a lunch with him in 1 hour, he was so passionate about where we're going that I didn't have to convince him about where the library is and what we need for a new library. So again, we need to do these things where we have vision, we're telling our stories, we're passionate. I mean, you guys are so passionate about what you do and how you serve your community. And that inspires people. When they see people who are passionate about what they do, versus we check out this many books and we had this many story times. We need to learn. We need to learn from retail and some other things about how do we sell our stories. And I'm hoping I'm preaching to the choir here, but this is good. All right, we're getting closer to the end. Any other statements or comments y'all want to put? This has been really good. I love what you guys do. I love that a lot of the libraries here do have vision statements. That's awesome, because not every library has that. And I think it's important to kind of start there and then work your way down. And I love that, again, so many libraries now, when I started, I think things have changed so much. It was always a 5-year plan. Somehow 5 years was, but now most of them tend to be 3 years. I think technology and everything else changes so fast. And now with AI coming down the pike, things are just changing at such a fast rate. So one of the things I did do in Georgetown, because I think things change so fast, we kind of had a rolling strategic plan. We would have update it almost every year just to kind of keep it fresh and to keep some of our goals and objectives, really up to date. But then again, every 3 years or so, we would then kind of restart all over again and go, is this the vision we have? Is this the mission? Is this where we're going to go? But I think, again, don't put them on the shelf. Don't write it and then put it on the shelf and forget about it. It should be an active working document. It definitely should be part of your budgeting, that you've got a plan, and city managers or boards or whoever, they like that they feel like you have a plan. It doesn't feel willy-nilly and you're just reacting for whatever reason. All right, anything else? Any other great words of wisdom out there? All right. If not, I want y'all to stay warm. I hope no one has busted freezing pipes or anything like that. And until next time, I'll say thanks a lot. I appreciate it. This was a great thing, and I appreciate your input. And I'm glad that most of y'all have a good vision statement, mission statement, and values. So with that, I'm going to end it. Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Eric. I want to be where Lisa is.
What's
Thank you,
that?
Eric. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I want to be where Lisa is, her background.
Yeah, she looks very comfortable, doesn't she?
Yep. Bye, guys.
All righty. Thank you guys for
Take care. Thank you.
Now we'll have a recording going out as well as the transcript and everything. So
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you. See you guys.
See you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
All right. Bye.